I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Anup Pujari from CDR India. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Lemon Tree Hotels Q1 FY21 earnings conference call. We have with us today Mr. Patanjali Keswani, Chairman and Managing Director of the company, Mr. Ratan Keswani, Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Kapil Sharma, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Vikramjeet Singh, President of the company. Before we begin, I would like to point out that some statements made in today's call may be forward-looking in nature, and a detailed statement in this regard is available in the results presentation that was shared with you earlier. I would now like to invite Mr. Keswani to make his opening remarks.
Thank you, Anup. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this call. I hope all of you and your families are safe and healthy. Since our last interaction with you, the number of COVID-infected cases in India have increased over 10 times, and about 35,000 more Indians have lost their lives. Unfortunately, there is still no definitive understanding of what the peak number of infections in India will be, nor when will that be reached. Besides the irrecoverable loss of so many lives, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on broad swaths of our economy and has caused a severe impact on the livelihood of a very large number of people. Multiple global financial institutions and agencies have forecast contraction in India's GDP. With hospitality and tourism among the worst affected, COVID-19 has brought our sector to almost a standstill. Sealed international and state borders, ongoing lockdowns across various parts of the country, corporate travel restrictions, and the very real fear of getting infected has led to a temporary shutdown of about 70% of the branded hotel inventory in India during Q1. The industry occupancy, which was about 65 to 68% during Q1 last year, fell to a low of 15% this year. The sudden crash in demand led to a steep correction in average rates as well, with the average industry area for the quarter dropping to about 60% of last year's level. This combined impact resulted in massive losses for the hospitality industry as operating expenses remained mostly fixed due to the nature of the business. The absence of any major relief as yet from the government, unlike in most other countries, to a sector which provides about 8% of the employment in India, has made survival even tougher. As a result of all this, short-term demand destruction and consequent rate reductions, absence of meaningful support, etc., Lemon Tree's prime focus in Q1 was to variabilize the fixed expenses as much as possible and defer all discretionary and non-essential expenditure. So I'm glad to share with you that we succeeded in ensuring our aggregate operating expenses were brought below our operating revenues in Q1. In the quarter gone by, our revenue from operations stood at rupees 40.7 crores versus 140.9 crores during the same period last year. Our operating expenses, including corporate expenses, came down by about 62% to 36.3 crores in this quarter, as compared to 96.2 crores in Q1 FY20. Hence, we were able to record a positive net EBITDA of 7.5 crores in Q1 FY21, which was 83.8% lower than the 46 crores we had achieved in Q1 FY20. Our EBITDA margin stood at 17.1% in this quarter versus 32.7% in Q1 last year. More importantly, we achieved this control over expenses while ensuring that about 71% of our owned/leased inventory was kept operational. I'd like to point out that once you shut a hotel, it is very difficult to open it. You lose staff, the hotel deteriorates. So this this intention of keeping inventory open was very, very important, and we kept 71% open. Our occupancy in our operating hotels was 40%, 40.4% versus 77.5% during the same quarter last year, where our ADRs dropped by 34.4% to rupees 2625 from 4002 in Q1 last year. The key source of our business during Q1 FY21 were Indians opting for institutional quarantine, business continuity planning teams of global IT majors who occupied many of our rooms in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Pune, and on-duty doctors and paramedical staff who were advised to isolate themselves from their families. We've also tied up with 2 leading healthcare chains to increase their operational capacity by converting 2 of our hotels into healthcare facilities for asymptomatic patients. From June onwards, we have also been very encouraged to see a significant pickup in online bookings, primarily from the SME sector and staycations. I am very pleased with the efforts of our teams who not only borne a huge personal risk by continuing to work on the front line, but also remain tightly focused on controlling costs without compromising on quality. We implemented multiple cost rationalizing exercises across our hotels and corporate office, which resulted in a 62% reduction in our total operating expenses. In fact, on the same hotels basis, our operating expenses reduced by 71% versus Q1 last year. We achieved a 47% reduction in our manpower expenses without laying off any employee from our payroll. Our leadership teams took pay cuts ranging from 50% for managers going up to 100% at the CEO level. We have continued to pay all our permanent employees below manager level, which constitute over 80% of our workforce, their salaries. We were also able to achieve a 57% reduction in power fuel expenses and reduced our food costs in Q1 this year to 24.5% of food and beverage sales from 38.9% in Q1 last year. Similar efforts have also gone into all other expense heads. Going forward, we plan to stay focused on our operating costs to ensure we stay positive at the net EBITDA level. In fact, invoking the law of unintended consequences, many of our cost optimization measures will be permanent in nature, which we expect will lead to a minimum net EBITDA margin expansion of 5 to 700 BPS when things get back to normal. From the liquidity perspective, we have already received the first tranche of 175 crores with the issuance of CCPS to APG. There is an additional commitment of 125 crores, which we will call for if and when the need arises. The plan to raise 150 crores in Lemon Tree, which has already been approved by the board, is also underway. Excluding this additional 275 crores, we currently have sufficient cash in the company, about 225 crores, to meet our total expenses, including debt obligations for the next 4 quarters, assuming the worst case basis of current levels of occupancies in ADRs, with lockdowns, travel restrictions, etc., continuing till the end of Q1 FY22. As the hospitality industry prepares for this new normal, the safety of our guests and employees remains of utmost importance to us. Since the beginning of the lockdown, we have implemented a very large number of SOPs covering all aspects, including our guests, employees, and vendor partners. In all hotels where our rooms are being offered for institutional quarantine, all our housekeeping employees are provided with personal protective equipment suits to attend and engage with guests. We've also launched a health and hygiene program named Rest Assured in collaboration with Diversey, a global leader in providing smart, sustainable cleaning and hygiene solutions. They provide us with US-approved EPA safe chemicals, operating checklists, and training material for our staff at the hotels. They've also launched contactless dining in some of our hotels on pilot basis. Going forward, we believe that these initiatives will instill confidence and trust in the mind of our stakeholders. Since June, there has been a gradual lifting of curbs on hotel operations, and under Unlock 3, hotels are now allowed to operate in almost all the states. We're hopeful that the hospitality industry will begin to see the green shoots of demand recovery from H2 FY21 onwards. As I had mentioned earlier, there has already been a visible pickup in retail demand from online channels. By the way, this is about 300 rooms a day. It was 75 in April. We have also witnessed demand pick up from airline crews as airline operations have also resumed partially. Our sales team have launched a variety of staycation programs for families who want to spend weekends in our hotel. We also plan to tie up with more healthcare chains to let our rooms be used as healthcare facilities. To summarize, we are looking at the future optimistically. While we are currently operating at suboptimal levels, in the near term there should be a gradual bounce back as travel restrictions get eased and broader consumer sentiment gets restored. We are confident that our fundamentally strong business model, significant liquidity, and our established brand in the hospitality industry will help us successfully weather these challenging times. On that note, I come to the end of our opening remarks and would like to now ask the moderator to open the line for question and answer.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We take the first question from the line of Nihal Jham from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, and good evening to the entire management. Sir, I have three questions from my side. The first one was specifically on our cost control, which is definitely commendable, where we managed to be EBITDA and cash flow positive in this challenging quarter. In our last interaction, you did mention that the focus was, I think, to bring your fixed cost to, say, around 20% of revenues, and even to bring down the variable cost to around 8 to 9% of revenues for this year. I just wanted to check again that after a quarter of implementing these initiatives, is that the target that we are still working it, or there is an increase or a change in that?
So if you typically look at our hotels, include after corporate expenses and lease rentals, our EBITDA margins are normally in the mid-30s. Depending if it's peak season, it could be 40, 42%. In summer, when it's lower occupancies and ARRs, it could be early 30s. So really the cost, let's assume illustratively that the cost for 100 rupees of revenue in say 1 year ago, our cost was say 65. About 75% of the 65 is fixed, which is about 50 rupees. So assume when you are normally doing a revenue of 100, your fixed cost is 50, your variable cost is 15. What we really did was we looked at variabilizing these fixed costs to the maximum extent possible. I'll give you an actually amazing example. We had over 5,000 staff, about 1 staff per room for our 5,200 rooms. Currently, it is being run with 2,600 staff. And I admit that some services have reduced, but our reckoning is that when things come back to normal, we will not need more than 4,200 staff, which means 1,000 staff. And there, we have attrition. Our business has plenty of attrition. We will save a minimum of 1,000 into 4.5 lakhs. That is 45 crores when things come back to normal. I'm just giving you an instance. Similarly, air conditioning, our pumps using heat exchangers, we've massively reduced our power and fuel expense, which is the next large one. And therefore, from that 50%, we have brought our fixed costs down by roughly 70%, which is why it is now the fixed costs are about 15%.
If I'll just proceed on my second question. As I noticed, our capex cost guidance was around 850 crores in Q4, and in this update, we're saying that it will be 1,000 crores for the same 3 properties. I just wanted to understand that the reason for that increase.
Well, Kapil, can you explain that? Because I think he has put it in. What is the reason? Hello? Hello?
It is, Kapil this side. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yeah. So, this is primarily for our Mumbai International Hotel, where, as you know, there is some disruption in between, and there is some revision in this capital cost, and that's how this number is there. And now this also incorporates the increased number of rooms as well, which is now, as we were earlier discussing, that earlier number was 577 rooms, and now it is 669 rooms. So that is the difference over there.
Sure, sir, that's helpful. Patu sir, last question from my side. Just on a longer term, assuming the recovery, as you said, is 18 to 24 months away. So is our thought that you want to focus on cost control and wait it out till things normalize, or do we want to try opening up certain or meaningful alternative revenue streams in these 24 months? How do you see yourself approaching this?
So here is how we have what we expect to do, and then we have a worst case scenario. So on a worst case scenario, we are assuming that current levels of occupancy will continue for at least another 6 months. Once the cure comes, domestic travel will start meaningfully. And as you know, over 85% of our business is domestic travel, fortunately, because we are in the mid-market domestic segment. I reckon that it will, till a vaccine comes or some level of herd immunity, international travel will be very, very muted. That's my estimate. International travel is about 8-9% of our revenue. Meetings, incentives, conferences, which is another 5-odd%, in my opinion, will be again muted. It will not be zero, but it will be maybe half of what it should be. So really, I'm saying, what I'm trying to explain is that I'm seeing a gradual recovery. I am assuming that the next 3 months will be, I like to say this, but we are opening 90% of our rooms now. We had opened about 75%, or roughly that number in Q1. Now we have opened 90% of our rooms, 33 out of 41 hotels. We are now occupancy, which is already 15% higher than what we did in Q1. About 7.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but your audio is breaking up, sir.
My audio? I'm sorry. Okay. So we are now already doing 1,700 rooms a day when we closed Q1 at about 1,500. My expectation is that this will gradually pick up. And from a cash flow perspective, we will plan for current performance. However, so everything is upside after that. Do you get me?
Yes,
my expectation is that domestic travel will definitely bounce in the next 6 to 9 months. International travel will take a minimum of a year and a half, and meetings, incentives, conferences will take a year. So on that basis, then of course the numbers are very, very different. But if for our planning, we are just being extra cautious and prudent. That's all.
Understand that, sir. Wish you all the best. That's it from the side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Deepika Mundra from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I hope you are doing well. Just wanted to check on the deal with APG. I think you had mentioned last time, the President had mentioned that he would transfer some assets to APG at the end of 2022. Have you identified which are those assets that are expected to be transferred? I just wanted to get an update on your debt position. So what would be the current debt outstanding? And do you have any more leeway to raise further debt? Thank you.
We are not planning to raise any further debt because we've raised capital in APG. See, let me explain something. Our gross debt still remains the same, roughly. Our net, it may have gone up a little bit because of this moratorium, but our intent is that within the next 6 months, we have currently about 225 odd crores of cash. We have 125 with APG and 150 in a rights issue, brings us to 500. So when that happens, obviously our net debt will drop substantially. The way we look at it is that 70% of the debt resides, or I think 75 resides in the joint venture with APG. So when we talk to APG, anyway, we were earlier also telling them that we wanted to move more assets of our balance sheet and transfer it to the asset co. The reason then was that in some cities we have hotels which are mostly by the joint venture, hotels are owned by Lemon Tree. So for synergies and cost cost distribution, it becomes difficult if they are two different companies. So, for example, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune, Delhi, these are cities where we would like to look at transferring our assets anyway to go asset light. Plus, APG is a very large pension fund. Would obviously look at a yield. So the reason we are doing this after 2 years is we will be in a better position on our assets and value the joint venture when we transfer these assets.
Right, so that's very clear. I just wanted to understand as to if there are any specific hotels that you had already identified, or will this be decided at a later date?
No, it will be from these cities basically, where the joint venture owns say 4 hotels and we own 1, like Bangalore, for example. In Bangalore, we own 5 hotels, where the joint venture owns 4, and the Lemon Tree Premier in the city center is owned by Lemon Tree. Similarly, in Delhi, there is Red Fox Hotel. Similarly, in Pune, there is Lemon Tree Hinjwadi. So there are multiple. In Hyderabad, there is Red Fox High-Tech City. So these are owned by Lemon Tree, but all the other hotels are owned by the joint venture. So for us to distribute even administrative expenses and so on, it would make sense to put it all together in one entity.
Okay. And sir, if I may just ask one more question, given that you've opted for the moratorium, could you just outline your debt repayment schedule for FY 21-22?
It would be the same. Kapil, will you answer that?
Yeah, so because of the moratorium, actually what has happened is that since the repayment which were due in the first 6 months, that have gone ahead and the tenor has been extended to that extent. So for FY21, our repayment, which was earlier roughly 100 crore, has now has reduced to 50 CR for the remaining period.
So FY22?
FY22 is roughly 105 crore.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
But keep in mind, Deepika, what we are looking at very clearly is every month you will find, and every quarter, that our EBITDA keeps improving. So what you have seen in the lockdown month, which was the worst quarter, was a positive EBITDA. Now Q2 will also be a positive EBITDA, though not significantly better than Q1 because, we still have this fear and crisis. But in Q3 and Q4, you will find the EBITDA numbers will constantly improve.
Got it, sir.
So we worked that out, and that's why we feel 500 crores is enough for basically the next 2.5 years. 3 years.
So essentially, I guess on an operating basis, there is no cash burn right now. It's just that you need to take your interest cost needs to be taken care of, correct?
Yeah, but our EBITDA is improving every month.
Yeah.
That's the broad point. If you've seen our investor presentation, you will find that in April we made no money, May we made some, June we made more, and July we'll make more, and so on and so forth. So it's an improving trend broadly.
Understood, sir. Got it, sir. Very clear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Archana Gode from IDBI Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. So thank you for the opportunity. I have 3 questions. Sir, from April to June, we reported, a healthy pickup in the occupancy. How the ADR has been stagnant. I do understand because the services are for quarantine and medical staff. But sir, when do you expect some meaningful improvement on that front?
Very quickly, I'll tell you why. First reason why our ADR dropped by about 30-31%. But because we added the Keys Hotel, where Keys Hotel's ARR is significantly lower than Lemon Tree, on a consolidated basis, our ARR came down 34.4%, if I remember right. But actually, the ARR was for same hotels and so on was down about 30-31%. Number one. Now, in these hotels that are not getting the regular customers that we normally get. So I would reckon that 80% of our customers or 85% of our customers are not what we would normally call our customers. These are quarantine guests. These are healthcare workers where we give very, very good rates to doctors and paramedical staff. The rates even for the staycation is low. So you will find that when this in the next 6 months, when we start substituting these customers with our regular customers, the ARR will very rapidly climb back. For example, we had not opened Udaipur in Q1. We had shut it down. We opened it about 2 weeks ago, and it is now doing, while it's doing very few rooms, 8-10 rooms a day, it is still doing 14,000 rupees ARR. Okay, so this will happen gradually. You will see it in Q2, not so much. Q3 definitely, and Q4 very clearly it will be visible.
Sure, sir. So which are the cities which are showing early signs of recovery, and like how the rest of the markets are behaving?
So if you go to our slide 13 of our presentation, you will find that Delhi, which was doing 39% in Q1, is now doing, I don't know offhand, but about 55-60%. Okay, Gurugram is still muted. Hyderabad is about the same. Bangalore is doing better. So the main cities where we have most of our hotels are doing occupancy is north of 40%.
Sure, sir.
Which is why I told you we are now doing 1,700 rooms instead of 1,500. We are doing 200 more rooms a day.
Okay. And so lastly, in the presentation, it is mentioned that we would be adding 29 hotels by CY22. So should we pencil in some kind of delay in the inventory addition given the current scenario?
Certainly. So what we are doing is, you see, our intention was to open it in end of calendar 21, which is middle to end of Q3, FY22. However, for the last 5 months, basically hardly any work is being done. We are now spending. We talked to Shapoorji Pallonji, and we have said since the expenditure today is still not significant to build this project because we are building the shell. We are spending 2 crores a month, every month, to continue building the Mumbai International Airport, and we reckon that the delay will be, we will take a call in December, or November, December, based on what we see, because our current hotel, our new hotel in Bombay, the Lemon Tree Premier, is already doing 60% occupancy. And not so bad in ARR, it's close to $4,000. So the whole point is that if we feel Bombay is recovering, and it normally recovers first after this, now it's a hot zone, we will accelerate it. So we have kept the project on with an expectation that it will be delayed by 6 to 9 months. But the call we'll take will be in November, December.
Sure, sir. And so lastly, if I can put in one more question. So given the weak business environment, what is the outlook on the corporate rates for next year when it will come for the renewal?
So here is what I think will happen. Speaking on behalf of the hotel industry, my big concern is that about 50% of hotels in India are in danger of getting sick in the next 6 months because of leverage and liquidity. So my real concern is that this short-term demand destruction of the next 6 to 12 months, without an extension of the moratorium, will certainly lead to permanent supply destruction in the next 2 years.
Right.
So what does that mean? It means that I expect, and I'm speaking based on the little that I know, that there will be a 10 to 25% reduction in supply in India in the branded hotel space by next year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that happens, I reckon that the hotels that remain, I don't see a big drop in prices, frankly. So this October, maybe the pricing will remain the same or may go down marginally compared to last year, the corporates. But next October, certainly it will bounce, and it will bounce quite significantly.
Sure, sir. So thank you so much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Vinod Bansal from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Just on the debt side only, sorry, I missed the early part of the call, so I might be repeating the question. You have 100 crores total repayment due, out of which the first 6 months would be in moratorium. So 50 crores will be payable this year in cash repayment of the debt broadly. What interest is payable? Is interest also a part of moratorium, or that is fully payable?
No. So, no, the moratorium for interest, as far as I understand it, and Kapil can correct me if I'm wrong, the moratorium for interest is only for 6 months, and in the 7th month we have to pay it. In fact, at the end of the 6th month. Whereas the repayment of the principal, that 50 crores, will be added to our loan tenor. So our loans are typically 11 to 13 years away, and this 50 crores will be paid after 11 years.
Okay.
So
for the interest for the
principal will be added. Yeah. So interest will be paid at the end of the moratorium, but the 50 crore principal will be paid after 10, 12 years, whatever.
So basically for interest you get a 6 month relief, so to speak.
Currently, yes. But we are waiting for what happens with the KV Kamath committee and so on, what they recommend for the hotel sector.
And from what we understand today, in the 7th month, you have to pay for the 7th month and also for the first 6 months straight away in the 7th month directly.
That is correct. So what we are doing, we know this, we've done, as I explained earlier, we've done an assessment that assuming that we make this current level of EBITDA only, which is say 5 to 10 crores a quarter, then we need and this goes on for something like 20 quarters or something. I mean, of course, it's an absurd situation, but on that basis, we have done our liquidity planning, and that's the thought behind what we are doing.
Makes sense. So, sir, what will be the total interest payment for the year FY21? Cash interest payment.
I'm sorry.
What will be the total interest payment?
Will be about 180 crores, Kapil?
No, which year you are talking? FY21 or
FY21?
Yes. Yeah, FY21 now after moratorium, because part of the repayment has got extended, so the remaining part would be roughly 50 crores.
That's on the debt principal side.
Yeah, that's on the principal
interest.
side.
Interest will be 140 crores.
Yeah, interest would be 140.
And the capex will be what, 30 odd crores capex broadly?
No. Capex will be 10 max. 8 to 10 from now.
Okay. So that's about 200 crores, and you have 225 crores of cash, including the 175 crore that came from APG.
Yeah, we have 225 now, and we have 150. We are planning some form of rights issue, and 125 from APG. That's another 275.
Yeah. Just for same numbers for FY22, sir, debt repayment would be how much? What is due?
Yeah, debt repayment would be 105 crores for next financial year.
And the interest, cash payment due?
Interest would be at the similar level, roughly 140.
No, it will be 10 less because we'll have paid off a certain amount of principal.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And the capex that year?
See, the real requirement of funding for MIAL will be in the last 9 months. So if we are going to open MIAL in, say, October 2000 or December 2022, then we will really require money. And right now it is all equity, as you know. We will require money then. So then we will be in a position to assess whether we want, how the market has transformed, and we can accelerate it and open it between October and December, calendar 22.
Sure. So just trying to do some math broadly around what is the cash requirement next year, fiscal 22.
No, see this way. Yeah. No, let me explain. Suppose our EBITDA, this is not guidance, but let's assume our EBITDA is X at the end of this year. Okay, that is not required. I mean, that much less is required for funding the debt and the interest, the principal and the interest. So we have certain assumptions, which is how much EBITDA we will make this year, how much EBITDA we will make next year, and that EBITDA becomes effectively an add-on to that 500. And on that basis, we feel currently that we will be able to accelerate Bombay from end of H1 next year.
Okay. Also, so between you have this 125 crore to be taken from APG and the 150 crore right issue. Is there a preference one over the other? Or and timelines, if I may also ask for the both?
Well, we would look at, we can take the money from APG any time in the next 24 months. So the point is, we don't want to just take money for the sake of it. So we want to see what happens by November, December. Rights issue we will definitely do.
Any timelines do you have, rights?
No, not yet. It's really we have to take boards. Board has in principle approved. We are going to get back to them we'll call a board meeting in the next month and take a call and then go ahead with it. It will take maybe, I think, how long would it take? About 2 to 3 months?
Yeah, roughly 2.5 to 3 months.
Yeah.
But that we are doing, that is for sure, right? We are doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And sir, I'm sorry if this question was also asked. Any sense on trends we are seeing now in terms of, you said 90% of the hotels we've opened up now in July. What occupancy we are seeing for the operational inventory? We were at 40-odd%.
Yeah, so we are still doing about 37, 38% because we've added we operated 3,700 rooms in Q1. In Q2, we are operating 4,600 rooms. And while the rooms have gone up by 900, the occupancy has gone up by 200. But obviously, we expect, this is kind of advanced preparation, so to speak. And the new rooms we have opened, the pickup is relatively lower, but we expect that it will pick up over the next 2 to 2.5 months.
And again, in July also, as opposed to Q, also most of it would be the same quarantine guests that we had in one.
That is correct. No. In July, surprisingly, quarantine reduced slightly and online picked up. So online, I think we did. Vikram, how many rooms per day did we do online? About 300?
Yeah, we are now crossing 300 regularly. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and in April, how many rooms did we do online?
It was 70 odd rooms, sir. 70 odd rooms per day. 70 RPD, 70.
Okay, so that, broadly, the point I'm making is that this is the business, this is the change in sentiment, not the quarantine, because quarantine is really a filler for us right now.
Right, and since you gave this number, what room rates are these 300 rooms, which is the usual normal demand coming at, vis-a-vis quarantine room rates?
Yeah, so these rates would be between 2,800 to 4,500.
Okay. Also, if I may just
would be 28 because if they are vacations, these are basically people who want to stay in the hotel for the weekend. Okay, they come with their wife and child and so on. So they just want a break, and so they are not they are price sensitive. But the MSME guys have started now. I think we get about 100, 150 rooms a day from them. Those are north of 3 lakhs.
Sure. So just out of curiosity, an operational standpoint, when you have both businesses, so let's say going on quarantine as well as the normal demand, do you have to segregate the hotels, or you can do in the same hotel, like, out of a 100-room hotel, 60 rooms are on quarantine, 40 are on normal guests? Is it allowed?
Typically, we segregate. No, it is allowed, but you see, only in some hotels, like where we have 2 hotels together, joined together, like in Hyderabad. Then what you can do is effectively, when they are joined, you can take one large hotel like Lemon Tree Premier Hyderabad, which has 260 rooms, and keep 150 rooms for regular and 110 rooms for quarantine, which are serviced out of Red Fox. So basically, those 3 floors are sealed off. So even the elevators in the Lemon Tree Premier don't stop on the floors, and all guests check in from Red Fox. So it's a peculiar thing which works for us, but we are completely segregating, and there are no hotels where there are both quarantine and regular customers. Because in most of these cities we have multiple hotels, so we have this ability to give entire hotels for quarantine.
So generally, how does it work? I mean, is there a government guideline that a hotel that is being used for quarantine cannot be used at the same time for regular business?
I don't think there are, guidelines are different for different cities and states and so on. But as an abundant precaution, we separate.
Okay. Right. Thanks a lot. That's useful. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, if you have a question, please press star then one. Next question is from the line of Tushar Sarda from Athena Investment. Please go ahead.
For the opportunity. I think as management, first I must congratulate you on really, bringing expenses under control and planning out the cash flow. That gives us a lot of confidence. My question is, this crisis is going to continue maybe for another 2 years or at least 12 to 24 months. So what is the plan on increasing the revenue? Because the business travel is not going to come back very fast. And some of the business travel may actually disappear completely. Just as you said, your expenses reduction will be permanent. Some of the business travel reduction will also be permanent. So what are the other avenues to increase the revenue?
Okay, so let me just give you an interesting, Tushar, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So Tushar, there have been hotels have existed. There have been one pandemic and two epidemics. One was the Spanish flu, one was the Asian, and one was the Hong Kong. These are all flus, right? And they all killed over 1 million people. Spanish flu, of course, killed 50 million. So what happened is amazing. In all three cases, there was total pandemonium, fear for 2 years. And the third year, in all cases, demand bounced back. And mind you, there was no vaccine discovered, no cure. In their case, it was herd immunity. The broad point I am making is there are crises and there are crises. All I feel is that any hotel company that has operating hotels 2.5 years from now will be in a position where supply will have significantly reduced. Now the question is, will demand have reduced more or less? I cannot speculate there, but I know for sure that there will be an enormous reduction in supply of branded hotel rooms in India. Number two, whichever corporates I have spoken to, all their employees are chafing that they cannot go to work. If you ask me, my expectation is that from October next year, you are going to see a very large amount of domestic travel. Fear has to go, cure has to come, vaccine may or may not come, but it will start. There is no question in my mind. And it has always happened. Always. Hotels occupancies crashed to 10%, went back to 70% in 2 years. So we are operating as I said, on a prudent basis of raising cash. Now, the point is, if we can bring our expenses down by 70% or 65%, I think we can calibrate our expenses to the increase in demand and still make a fairly decent EBITDA. I don't want to comment on the amount, but I am very confident that what we have achieved in the first 4.5 months from April, every month we have reduced our expenses. So if you see a slide which we tried to show, I don't remember where it is exactly, but if you go to page 8 of our presentation, you will find our expenses reduced every month. And this month too, it is reduced further. So when revenue is on an uptick and expenses are flat or reducing, the difference is EBITDA for us. So our operating leverage is going to just increase enormously. And we are just waiting for demand to come back, for the fear to get over.
Thank you. We take the next question from the line of Simant Kumar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So my question is regarding the online booking you have talked about. So can you discuss more about which the key market we are getting higher online booking and the key segment, key segment also?
Okay, before I go forward, let me explain one thing. About 35 to 37% of our business pre-COVID was online. Another 35% was large corporates. And 30%, I think about 10% was, 30% was large corporates, 30% was small corporates or MSMEs, and 10% was others like meetings, incentives, conferences, or small blocks. What I'm seeing take off, which is very, very encouraging for us, is the relatively high rate MSME sector. Contrary to what I've been reading, that it's in complete distress, I find that the large corporates have not started travel other than the business continuity teams that are operating in our hotels in Pune, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. But MSME, they have started. And to me, that is an early indication of something to look forward to. Now, Vikram, could you answer this question as to which cities are giving the maximum pickup? I mean, I know. Go on.
Yeah. So I think all major metros are showing a fair amount of traction on the online channel, whether it is Aerocity, whether it is Gurgaon. Surprisingly, even Chandigarh and Ahmedabad are showing good traction on the online channel. Bangalore, Hyderabad, needless to say, is also doing well. So we are seeing it across Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities, which is very encouraging. I think Tier 1, the pattern is more on the staycation side. Tier 2 is more of the SME that you mentioned. So that's the broad mix.
Any impact to the fresh lockdown implemented to the business or slow down the recovery?
See, I'll give you an example. Bombay had shut down all its hotels. Our hotel was still operating. And in some cities, wherever the hotels were operating, then when the government doesn't shut those hotels down, which is why it is so important for us to operate our hotels. So broadly, what we see is now that we have 90% of our inventory, obviously the reason we have opened it is we expect a pickup in those cities where we have opened additional inventory. What I want to emphasize is that this quarter is going to be slightly better than the previous quarter. We will really know what's happening when the infection peaks and then starts reducing. I have no line of sight on that, but I reckon that in the next 2 months, maybe 3 months, it will start. The decline will start and the recoveries will be more than the fresh infection. And then I think you will start seeing traction.
So that's why my question is also, you have already opened 90% inventory. Your thought process is the going forward, that maybe in the coming quarter, you have a better demand. So in that particular city, you have a couple of hotels. So is it possible to operating one hotels and keeping that hotel inventory, hotel occupancy is higher and then opening another hotel?
Precisely what we are doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why. But you are already 90% of inventory is already opened.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is that some quarantine business reduced and the online business picked up. So we are doing 1,700 rooms today, of which over 300 rooms are non-quarantine /health /ETP. It means that the other rooms are less than 1,400, which were 1,500 in the last quarter. So what we are seeing is a substitution of regular normal demand coming in place of the quarantine side. And the new hotels we open are basically geared towards when we see a pickup of that kind of demand, then if there was an earlier question of a quarantine hotel, then the other hotel will be for the non-quarantine.
Okay. So do you think maybe 4 months from here, if the quarantine customer will not there, the other demand is coming, is going to replace that demand?
Firstly, I don't think this quarantine. It's actually mutually exclusive. If things improve where quarantine is not required and things are coming under control, they will automatically be substituted by, because then the fear fact, that means the disease is not going crazy. fear factor comes down, normal demand starts picking up.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, if you have a question, please press star then one on your touchtone telephone. Next question is from the line of Achal Kumar from HSBC. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I had a couple of questions. First of all, what I wanted to understand on the supply side, so you said the supply will decline. Is that more of a natural slowdown in opening the new hotels, or do you think there will be some consolidations and some hotels will go out of business, and that's how the supply will decline? So what are your thoughts around that? How the supply will decline? And then secondly, related to that, so now of course everybody is in a cash conservation mode, but then don't you think that this is a good time, if you have cash, it's a good time to sort of for the conversions, because you have properties which are sort of under tremendous pressure, and you get a property at a cheaper price. So what are your thoughts around that? If you could please talk about that. Thank you.
See, we already own 5,200 rooms. And we are building another, over 700. We are going to go to close to 6,000. I don't think we have appetite to acquire assets. It is true that there is a fund that has been talking to us that says that they will acquire the assets, but we will have to manage it. We are looking at that, and I'm hoping that in the next 2 months we will be able to do a term sheet with them where we will manage their assets. So that will expand our management, managed hotels. I think, Ratan, you also have a bunch of new owners who have reached out to you to manage hotels. Is that right?
Yes. There are about 3-4 locations that we are talking to. And in addition, 5-6 hotels are supposed to open early in the year.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Yes, there are 3-4 interested locations looking for management contracts, and also about 5 projects that were held back. We were supposed to open them in the first quarter and the second quarter. They start to kick in for opening in the second, third, and the fourth quarter.
Okay, so although it is obviously very difficult to meet people when there is a lockdown and so on, we are still ticking ahead going forward, and we are not going to put capital to acquire assets. I think I have said this before, and we want to now grow through management contracts and also lightening our own balance sheet and moving assets into Fleur for a possible listing in the next 2 years. The way we look at it is that the distress, you asked me about supply, the distress, yeah. I know for sure. This assessment has been done by people like HTL, which is Howard Travel and Leisure, which owns Smith Travel Research, and their estimate is that a very, very large number of hotels are going to get into very severe stress once the moratorium ends. So when I said, I think I mentioned earlier, anywhere from 10 to 25% of the hotels, branded hotel rooms in India will shut down. I have no doubt about it. Some may come back. New supply will be very, very, very marginal for the next few years. Nobody is, as far as I know, very, very few people, if at all, are building hotels or continuing to build hotels. And in fact, there are cases of hotels being converted to offices. I have read that too. So what will supply be? Right now, there are 165,000 rooms. My reckoning is that 2 years from now, there will be anywhere from 130 to 140,000 rooms operating.
Right, sir. The other thing what I wanted to understand about the kind of customers profile. I mean, of course, you just said that SMEs have started traveling, and so I was reading that the people are actually preferring staycation over flying somewhere out and probably and then taking hotels. So it looks like the traffic for the flights, demand for the flights will still remain low, but then the people wants to drive down to the nearby places, and then those kind of traffic can come, and then the staycation demand, as you rightly pointed out. So what kind of profile are you looking at? So what I mean by that is that, do you expect more people preferring Lemon Tree Premier over the Lemon Tree hotels and Red Fox hotels, or so what kind of profile are you looking at? I mean, because people have probably, if they are saving on the flight, they will spend more on the hotels. So that is something which I want to understand. If you could please share your.
I would say it is mostly upper middle class and above. Like I was very pleasantly surprised that when we opened Udaipur on the first day, I think about 10 couples came down from Ahmedabad, and they had a couple of drinks and hung out and enjoyed themselves. And I think the rate was also about $14,000-$14,000, and one of them took the presidential suite at $40,000. So that kind of demand will come. We are seeing it in one of our managed hotels, which is in Manesar, for example, which is a golf resort we operate with 70 studios, and on weekends it does 30-40 rooms a day and at $5,000. So people drive from Delhi and go there. So we are seeing that happen. Staycations don't necessarily mean it's only within the city. As you said very rightly, it's also within driving distance. And I see that happening gradually. You see, right now the fear is cases are rising, no peaking, maybe community transmission across India. When this comes under control, and it normally, I think it will take another 3 to 4 months, there will be a fairly significant pickup in demand.
Right. So basically, you are looking at you're expecting that the bookings will happen at the sort of higher end of the properties, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Nobody goes for a staycation normally to a Red Fox.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Finally, what I wanted to understand is, in terms of room rates. I mean, I think you already spoke, and so the corporate demand is going to be sort of very slow. Recovering corporate demand is going to be very slow, and international travel is also not happening anytime soon. So, do you think, due to this kind of profiling, do you think ARR would still remain under pressure for the next 12 to 24 months?
Difficult to say, because ARR is a function of which segment you target and what is their ability to negotiate with you. So, if you ask me, MSMEs as a sector, as a segment, which is large for us, have the least negotiating power. It is typically people who belong to the gig economy, self-employed professionals, people who come to meet some clients, so on and so forth. And there, the rate is normally higher than with the large corporates. So it depends on how this plays out. As I said, we are planning for the worst, but we have a certain expectation, which is obviously significantly better than the worst. And that's why earlier questions on, how much cash are you raising, why are you raising it, so on and so forth, is just a plan for the worst case. And let's assume that this will go on for 24 months. I don't expect at all that it will be the case, but I'm just being extra cautious. That's all. And my expectation is there will be recovery in domestic demand within 6
Right.
months.
Okay, sir. Last question from my side, if I can please. So now with so today Bangalore Airport has removed the institutional quarantine policy, and so there's no institutional quarantine now in Bangalore. So similarly, with those kind of things going away, don't you think that the quarantine business will reduce, and that will actually reduce your overall occupancy levels?
It has already happened. That is why, but in spite of that, we hit 1,700 rooms, as I said. The institutional quarantine business is going to gradually reduce, but if this increase in cases keeps going on, there will be a minimum number which we expect we will continue to get. And a bunch of companies also, just for your information, irrespective of what the government says, insist on putting their employees under quarantine in our hotels, and a very large number of those quarantine bookings we do get. And it has nothing to do with what the government is saying.